because
Oh,
I
good
do have
banter.
notes. Yeah, good banter. Because I have notes and I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, what I was going to say was
yeah,
I used to listen to a Game of Thrones podcast where one of them had read all of the books and knew what was going on,
yeah,
and the other person hadn't read anything and was like he was like a director and stuff, but
yeah.
like was going in blind to the show.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's
Sounds
kind of
similar.
what we are.
Yeah, that is us. So on that note, welcome back to Just Not Grigpod 2025. Jamie, can you believe that this is going to be our third year of doing a podcast?
Yeah, I could believe it.
Yeah. And you're still loving it just as much every time.
It's the same as it was the last time.
It
It's
is
just
the same. Except I have a new background because I moved house
Mhm.
for all of our thousands of listeners. Um, that's why we've been quiet for, I think it's been like 2 months. I think England had just announced their squad for New Zealand, maybe. I can't remember.
Who
I
knows?
don't know where we are, who we are. Um, but we're back because cricket's happened. And as Jamie just alluded to, um, maybe we're not the best people to talk to in terms of like what's actually been happening. I thought I'd just ask Jamie, what cricket do you think has been happening that we're going to talk about?
Um, I know the women's Ashes has been happening,
Yeah,
and I know they lost.
yeah,
I know the India-England T20s have been happening,
yeah,
and I know England lost.
yeah,
We probably won't touch on it because it was back in December, but we did a prediction for Australia, India,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I completely nailed.
yeah. Mad
Uh,
that series,
yeah. Uh,
ridiculous.
I have the receipt if anyone wants it.
I'm sure they will.
Um, uh, I'm the only one that cares about it, and you kind
Yeah,
of care, but in
I
the
kind of get,
I
I
can't
get,
believe you
yeah,
were
because I'm
right
annoyed.
kind of,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And that's kind of why I care.
yeah. I think of more England losses. I think the England Lions lost to Australia A.
Hmm.
As another England loss. Um, the SAT 20 is happening. The ILT 20 is happening. Um, oh, Australia are touring Sri Lanka, and they just won that game. Australia did, I should say, not just them. That's a bit more. Who knows what I was talking about? I think that's it. And then obviously, like you mentioned, we missed the entire Australia India series, and I think probably the England New Zealand series, probably
Hmm.
because I think that was around the time that I was just moving. So we're back for the series that people don't really care about, but which is what we were going to covering. But that's I'm more talking about the T20 series, less so the Ashes. Um, so I mean, I've got a new feature.
Sure.
It's called "What an Arthur Lot of Disappointment." It's not. I don't know whether it's necessarily going to work because you've not really been following. But I'm going to ask you three different things and what's the most disappointing. So first of all, Manchester United's current season,
I don't need to hear the second two.
England losing 16-0 in the Ashes,
I don't need to hear the second two.
or you may be wrong, the Merlin series finale.
I don't need to hear the second two. I am,
Or United.
it's been years since the Merlin season finale. It wasn't that good of a show. It was just kind of fun that went a bit shit at the end.
Yeah,
The
I
first
mean,
one is currently happening.
but you're not enjoying it.
No.
So I think yeah, we'll touch on the middle one. So England losing 16-0.
On the
Um,
topic which this podcast
maybe,
is
but
about.
we could talk about Merlin if you want, because
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed Merlin, but I think it is as disappointing as the Game of Thrones final season.
I think I don't know because the expectations on Merlin were never as high because like funding. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, the acts for Game of Thrones started out relatively
Hmm.
uh unknown for like
Yeah.
the kids' parts were at least like Lena Headey and Charles Dance, Sean Bean were all big names,
Yeah.
but like otherwise they kept it to sort of medium
Yeah.
like the smaller names. Merlin, it was just like I remember Anthony Head was in it.
Anthony had John Hurt was the voice of the dragon.
Yes. Was it Amelia Fox as well in it like a couple
Yes,
of seasons?
I think so. And then the
But
actor
like
who plays Merlin's fairly decent things since. But
yeah, but
yeah,
like
it's
what
classic BBC
yeah. Like what's
drama.
his name? Is it Colin Morgan?
Yes, that's him.
Okay, cool. Like
Yeah.
we would know that because
Yeah.
we're Merlin fanboys apparently.
Yeah. It's our spin-off pod.
Yeah.
I think it's just I think that that disappointment of that ending shot, I think will just stay with me for the rest of my life. So that's why I put it up there with most disappointing things. Like having Merlin in the present day will still anger me and will forever anger me. So that's why I
Yeah.
mention it in terms of
No,
disappointment.
it is a really bad ending.
Yeah.
But it's like it was in 10
Yeah.
plus
Why?
years ago,
What?
wasn't it? And it
Yeah, I know, but this is my. I just want to get this out. Why would you wait until your last episode of your series where you've been building up that Merlin has magic, and then he tells Arthur in the last episode, and then he dies 20 minutes later? What is
it
the point?
yeah, it should have been the premise for an entire season.
Yeah,
Like
so
that
stupid.
the reveal comes at the end of one season and then like Arthur
Hmm.
vanishes in and they both have
Yeah,
to work through some things and they eventually reunite and Arthur's like, you're a dick, but
yeah.
you're my friend.
Oh God, it still angers me. So that's what I wanted to bring it up, just 'cause I saw a clip of Merlin for some reason the other day and just remembered, oh, I'm so angry. Um, Anyway, so maybe we'll talk about Manchester United later. We don't have to.
We won't.
Um, but we can talk about England losing 16-0 in the Ashes. Um,
Which is
that
incidentally the thing I know least about of those three subjects.
I feel like when it's been like juicy stuff, I've kind of been like, here's some stupid stuff that's going on. Um, but first of all, I'm just going to say Australia are exceptional because they're the best team in the world, apart from when they didn't win the T20 World Cup last year. Um, but they are just the best team. They've got the best squad. They've got the best players. They've got Alana King, who's just a brilliant leg spinner, was like, bowling Shane Warne-esque deliveries from the Shane Warne end at the NCG. Um, it's just a great squad of players. And I feel like there's no point really going over them because everyone knows they're great. Everyone just wants to hear us say how bad England were, which they were. Um, what are you aware of from the series? Because there's been a lot of chatter.
I'm aware of the scoreline. Was it 16
Hmm.
nil? You might have
Yeah,
said that like 2 minutes
yeah,
ago, so I don't know. I'm not going to give myself too much credit for that.
yeah.
Um, was there a T20 that England could have won, but it was rained off, and that confirmed Australia's win?
Well, they'd already lost the series by that point.
Okay.
But they almost won that game, but then it rained in the um, last over when they needed like 11 or something to win. Let me see. So they six to win, something like that. So they won. So Australia won that game with by 6 runs on the DLS rain method. Um, so they could have won that game. Heather Knight was not out and she was hitting it all over the place, but by that point the series had been lost. So they had lost the three ODIs, they lost the first T20, and then that was just maybe they could have retained it. I can't remember the ins and outs, but the series was 100% gone by that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a kind of sucky way to end that match. Really, like,
Yeah, it was just annoying. Like you could see the frustration the whole series from Heather Knight's
mhm.
face when she just threw her bat on that down. It's just like because they had gone off for rain every now and then, but then it's just a kind of England thing that they had run off. They'd sprinted off when it rained before because they were ahead on the Duckworth-Lewis method, and then suddenly when it wasn't in their favour, they were annoyed about it. And it's just sort of like well, you can't have it both ways. You
Yeah.
can't be angry that you're going off, but
Mhm.
then you're going to sprint off the other time. Um, but anything else?
Like the you sent me something about one England player refusing an interview
Yeah,
with a former England player because they on the radio or something
yeah,
said
that's the
that
drama.
like the England players weren't as fit as the Australian players,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
which
that's
which
that.
is true.
Which is correct. Yeah. So that's the drama, and that happened. I think after the fourth game or the third game, where they've bowled quite well throughout the series. I think like Lauren Bell, for example, has been pretty good. But they have just been way below standards, especially in the field. They have dropped so many catches in this series, and then just letting Australia get off the hook so many times. That has just been coming to the fore. And then they were also bad in the T20 World Cup, which is where. So this is Alex Hartley who said the comments originally. So she said at the T20 World Cup. So I think we covered it last time just because I found it quite interesting that someone that would be not too long ago squads from England and has a lot of friends in that group was really calling them out for not being fit enough or not being up to it. And England kind of just pushed back on that, being like, no, it's got nothing to do with it. We're really fit. What are you talking about? John Lewis, the coach, was being like, yeah, that's completely not the case. So when it comes to the fore again, in the series straight away after the T20 World Cup, then it's obvious. So this is what Hartley said in the um, Test Match Special podcast. She said that 80% of the England team are fit and athletic enough, but there are girls in the side who are letting the team down when it comes to fitness. Um, and then after that, um, so then she said on the podcast afterwards that they were refusing to do interviews of her, and she said, "I've been hung out to dry. The reason I said England aren't as fit as Australia is because I want them to compete, I want them to be better, and I want them to win. But I've been given the cold shoulder ever since, not by everyone, but a few individuals, coaches, and players. They haven't looked at me." And it's since come out that it was Sophie Eccleston, so England's frontline spinner, who refused to give her an interview after they lost the game, obviously just because they're bitter about what she said after the T20 World Cup. Um, so that's the context.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
It's a great mentality
Yeah,
to have to when someone says something, you don't then go, oh, like, fuck you. You
yeah,
then prove them with your actions wrong.
yeah,
You go and play Australia and you like give fucking everything instead of
yeah,
moaning and being a dick about it.
yeah, yeah. That's it, isn't it? It's like why would you not? Why would you refusing the interview? Is one showing that you're just too annoyed and angry and just being so petty about it. But then also you're kind of just you are proving a point that you're not going to come out and stand up for yourself and be like, no, I don't think that's right. I think we are doing good enough. I know we've let ourselves. I would have so much more respect if she came out and being like, I disagree with you, just like flat out.
Yeah.
I disagree with what you're saying. I think we are doing really well, and I think it's maybe a bit harsh to say so. We're just trying our best, but to just completely avoid it, and not just for her to do it, but like Alex Hartley says, individuals, coaches, and players. It's like it's not just Sophie Eccleston. It's obviously a big. I just feel this group is just a clique, and it will come on to other comments later. But there's a kind of a coziness about it that they're all mates and they're having a laugh, and you're traveling the world with friends, which is cool. But at the same time, you've got to remember that you're professional sports people, and you can't just you're coming along playing Australia, who are I think the greatest team in women's cricket, and there has been, and they're probably up there with some of the greatest teams in world sport. And you can't just suddenly turn up and look like you're not there, you know, fitness wise or athleticism wise. Like you need to be better, and you need to own up that you're not good enough.
Like it by not like going to the interviews and avoiding the subject, you're also giving credence to the criticism.
Yeah,
Like if you don't believe that to be right, then fight back against it.
yeah,
But if you do actually know some of the players aren't putting in 100% of the effort and aren't as fit as they should be,
yeah,
then you're going to avoid the subject.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
you could know that they're not as fit as they are and come back and fight back anyway
yeah. I think you have
to
to. I
protect it.
would. Yeah,
Like there's only one option, and they did the not that.
yeah, yeah. And it's no spoilers for after this all blew up because that's one time where the series really just caught fire because funny enough people weren't too happy about her not doing the interview. Um, And I think it was also right for Alex Hartley to call it out as well. Like it would have been very easy for her to not mention that Sophie Eccleston had refused to do an interview. I think that would have been quite a simple thing, and then this things get brushed under the carpet. But I think it's quite. I've seen people say stupid comments that she's making the series all about her, which I don't think. But I think bringing this to light just kind of really showcases, I think, how bad that mentality is. That needs to be showcased to the fore. That you can't have it their own way. They are obliged to do an interview with media. That's part of their role. And I think it really just shows them a bit of an ugly light, I think. And then after this point, they completely spiral, and then there's some quite embarrassing defeats that follow this. So it's obviously it's a classic Ashes tour down under, where something just happens, or and another thing happens, and another thing happens, and suddenly it's a whitewash. Like see it all the time with the men's, but it was just a very ugly set of events, and I don't think they came out good at all. Like if you're going to lose a series, you lose a series, but you need to lose it with some kind of like dignity and actually do your job. You know,
Yeah.
rubbish. So I mean, today you had Claire Connor come out, who is head of the women's cricket um for England. So she said about it, where was let me find the actual quote. Um, because she said words, let's find them. Um, so she said there wasn't an attitude of coziness, but she is gonna always say that because I absolutely think there is. Um, but it was just in terms of like the Eccleston stuff, she said it won't happen again. That was an unfortunate incident which won't happen again. It's an important obligation of a professional sports person to fulfill their immediate obligations, and again, that's an area of improvement that we need to keep focused on. We will have to got to be accountable for performance, and speaking to the media is an important element of that. Um, Unsurprisingly, Sophie Eccleston said absolutely nothing about it. And I think that's also still telling. Is you can have Claire Connor come out and say it's not good enough, but why hasn't Sophie Eccleston come out and like done an interview since?
It's kind of like your parent going to school and
Yeah,
sending you from the teacher for you.
yeah, yeah, effectively. So yeah, that was the kind of like drama that unfolded, which is that was the biggest thing that kind of took fire. But then the next day, Amy Jones came out and said that we've still got our best cricket to play, and then they got completely just steamrolled every time they played, which is good. Um, but then John Lewis is the current coach for the England women. He has been involved in the England men's side before he left to take over head coach. Um, so what I hear about England is just their weird quotes and their weird. We just said that they should speak to the media, but I also think they should just not speak to the media because they're just stupid. So he was asked about the athleticism and the fitness and stuff, and this was his response. So he suggested the outdoors lifestyle in Australia was more conducive to producing natural athletes and cited a recent trip to Bondi Beach in Sydney as an example. He said, on Sunday morning, pretty much every Australian in the eastern suburbs was in the water. There's about 1 million kids down there, and they're all doing surfing, life saving, or playing touch rugby. For me, that's a cultural difference. I definitely think Australia have an advantage in terms of athleticism, and also our talent pool at the moment is small, so it's important for us to keep growing the game. So is he just saying that Australia are better because they beach more?
He's just making, again, he's giving credence to the criticism by
Yeah,
saying, ah, well, like, of course they're fitter than us because they've got beaches and it's sunny more often. Like,
yeah,
it's not as if our country also doesn't play rugby or football throughout the winter
I
months.
know.
It, fucking hell.
It's just, and also it's not like you're just picking up anyone from the beach and then suddenly you're chucking them at the MCG. These are like the top England cricketers. Like they're going to be amongst the system. They've got contracts. They're going to be training. They're going to go to gym. They're going to have strength and conditioning. They should just be fit and ready. It doesn't matter if they're going to the beach. They're not just like driven along. There's like, oh, there's a random like girl in the park there who's like, you like cricket, you can go play for. Like it's just not. That's not how it's happening. Like, why just say that stuff? Just say we've not been good enough athleticism wise, but we need to work on it and we need to be better. And then there's no story. So then obviously just Australia media is taking that as absolutely run and run and run, which is, fair play to
Yeah,
them.
they should.
Yeah, like, because it's idiots, it's stupid. And and John Lewis still thinks he should be in the job. So after they lost 16-0, he said, I really feel that I haven't finished a job that I came here to do. Obviously, the results haven't gone the way we want them. And I'm really committed to the people because we've got a really good group of people within the dressing room. I'm really committed to them. I'm really committed to growing women's cricket in England. So yeah, I feel like I'm the right guy to do it. I don't think you are the right guy to do it. Also, what's wrong with having a women's coach for the women's team? Like also like John Lewis is a very nice guy. He's a very just, he's, but he's like he's like a Nick Knight or something. He's just I don't. a pull far brace, anything like this. He's just not.
All like platitudes and
Yeah,
cliches and like says nothing of actual substance
yeah, just
or
media
like
talk.
minus substance.
Yeah, there's nothing in that that says anything. Like the results haven't gone the way we wanted them. What, you just got knocked out of the group stage of the T20 World Cup and you lost 16-0 in the Ashes. Like did they not go your way? Oh, that's a surprise. And also, I haven't finished a job that I came here to do. Maybe you need to win a game first.
Like it,
I'm,
what is the job that you think you need to be doing?
yeah, yeah. Do you think you've actually done okay, but you just need to finish off a little bit of it? Like it's,
Like no one's expecting England to actually win the Ashes. Like
yeah,
seriously.
no, yeah. I wouldn't have thought
But
so.
like they are expected to properly compete. Like taking
Yeah,
away just the difference in quality. Like these are professional elite athletes.
yep,
Like there must be some sort of professional pride in there to just show up and do your best. Like
yeah,
you're sports people. How you must be really ultimately super uber competitive.
yeah.
It just doesn't feel
It's
like
just weird.
that is being reflected.
Yeah. I feel like it's also turning into a bit of a mates club, which I feel like is just a bit crappy to see. Like I may be completely wrong, but I don't think that criticism would come up of like a coziness environment if that wasn't the case. Um, I just hate hearing just random strewn excuses, like the Bondi Beach thing. But also, I think that at the end of like day one of the test match, which I can get you the scores just to give you a comparison of how ridiculous this comment is. Um, I forget who actually said it, so I think it might have been Danny Wyatt, maybe. But forgive me if I'm wrong, fans. Um, so England were 170 all out on day one of the test match, which also is a bit annoying because they're at the MCG and it's this is the pinnacle of their sport, that of the women's game, should I say. You're playing the MCG, you're playing Australia, you're playing the Ashes. I know the series is gone, but women don't have enough test matches as it is. So this should be a big moment to seize, and it just felt like they just didn't turn up. So they're 170 all out, and they were like, "Oh, it was a tricky pitch. Um, there's a bit of spin. It's a bit tacky. I
Well,
think
I'm going
we
to
struggled.
assume Australia scored like
Australia scored
over 300. Yeah,
440.
yeah.
So I mean, and then obviously then England after that were 148 all out, um, losing by innings and 122 runs. Um, I mean, it didn't help themselves. So Annabelle Sutherland's got 163. Um, good knock. Beth Mooney got 106 not out. No, sorry, 106 not out. Sorry. But I think Sutherland they dropped five times. And I think that it might have been Beth. So Annabelle Sutherland, I'm pretty sure they dropped on 30, and then Beth Mooney, I think they dropped three or four times, but they dropped five catches in a session, from what I can remember. Um, and it just got embarrassing. Like it was just some of them looked like tough chances, but again, like we mentioned, when you're at the top of your game, you should be, and the actual pinnacle of the sport, they're catches you should be taking. Um, just didn't look good enough. It just looked really shambolic, looked really embarrassing.
Like even just
Um,
assume those catches are taken.
yeah,
It that like the England two inning scores is still probably only just about more than what Australia would have gotten in that
yeah.
one inning.
Yeah, yeah. Australia were always winning this game regardless what happened. I think even they took those catches. And I think Elise Perry was injured, so Elise Perry is absolutely go to the game, and she came at the end and only got two because I think she was injured. Um, and they still got 440. And also the thing that annoyed me, I don't want to like poo-poo on people's successes, but so if Sophie Ecclestone bowled 44 overs and got five wickets, five for 143, and so got onto the honours board. But the amount of just like social media nonsense that was going on that she got five wickets, I'm like, okay, I know five wickets is a big deal when you're on honours board, but they've just got 440,
Mhm.
and like you haven't posted anything else about the game and when Australia do well, but then suddenly when they get five wickets from bowling out the tail, it's like, wow, this is like well done, yay, amazing. It's like, no, where was where was the five wickets earlier in the series? You're well behind and you've lost the series 16-0, but we can all celebrate that. And it's not like they turned the game, it's 543. I know it's me being like quite petty and annoyed, but I feel like that's it's not like she's got 5 for 30 and they're suddenly well in the game. The game's gone, but that's just me being annoyed. And then England completely collapsed 148 all out with Alana King getting 5 for 53, bowling some absolutely amazing leg spinners. Um, but yeah, just rubbish. Like it was just rubbish because I watched a fair bit of it because it's on a lot of it was on a decent time. And this was a day-night test, so you could pretty much watch most of the day first thing in the morning. And it was just like it was just bad. It's just bad. Like
So,
I
was it this better or worse than the Merlin finale?
oh Merlin's still bad. I'm still for Merlin. I'm still seething. Um but it's close. But I mean, yeah, credit to Australia, blah blah blah. But you just want changes to really happen. But I just sense that they're not gonna happen. Um, and I feel like even if Heather Knight is no longer captain, I think they'll probably give it to Nat Brunt, who is England's best player by a country mile. But then I feel is that like that's a player that's just been around for a long time as well. Is it worth maybe giving it to someone younger and new, as a new generation person, and you have that experience behind them, and just try and like weed out all the kind of coziness and cliqueiness, even if that means you kind of go backwards a little bit. I just feel like this team hasn't really changed, and this team was competitive in the Ashes in England but then just completely were wiped on the board here. I know it's in Australia, but something's obviously changed, or they're aging, or just not good enough anymore.
It just feels very familiar for an England cricket team.
I feel like we've been told this story before. We'll be here in a year's time when England lose 5-0, and it's like, well, let's just copy and paste our podcast from last
Yeah.
year. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've not really got much more to say about it because, England didn't really bother or try, so I don't know why I should. Um, um, But I mean, yeah, the tiny few performances I'll shout out. I think Lauren Bell bowled really, really well. I think she's going to have a great England career. She's good pace, good opening bowler. Even when things were looking bad, bowled really decently throughout the series. There was a game where they bowled Australia out for 180 in the second ODI. Um, so that looked like a game that would probably go on and win. So really good bowling effort from England. Obviously, they were 159 all out, so they didn't win it. But I think the bowling is probably more to shout home about that than the batting. I think the Test match could have looked different if they'd taken the catches. They wouldn't have got maybe not got 440. But the batting, I think, there's some serious concerns there. So happy days.
Like the test match would have been a really good place to showcase how fit and athletic you are
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
I kind of also showcases if you're going to drop so many catches in the first session of the game or first session of the day, then that's kind of also showcasing Alex Hartley's point. Um, happy days. Shall we talk about some happier news?
Sure, let's go for it. We can try.
England lost 4-1 in the
Ooh,
T20 series to India. Today was probably their worst loss, but they actually was their worst loss. It was their biggest ever loss in T20s to India. I'll get you the scores from today because I don't know if you've
right.
seen them.
No,
No. Ridiculous scores. I need to just quickly wade through all the stuff. So India got this is the fifth and final T20 international of this series. India scored 247 and England were 97 all out, losing by 150 runs. Thoughts?
I was not prepared for the 240, but
Yeah.
shockingly, I kind of was prepared for the below 100 score.
Yeah. 97 all out of 10.3 overs. That's a whippet score.
Yeah, man. That
Uh,
we would take that.
I would take that 100%.
Like we've scored like 102, 3 times as a team.
So we scored I think we scored 100, yeah, we scored over 100 definitely 3 times.
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've done it in one T20 match where we got really close to doing it.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, we take 97 all out, especially after 10 overs.
Yeah, that's smash
Like,
about.
yeah,
I'll give you the run because this I think if people are going to be listening, especially from India, this is going to be the game they're going to be thinking about. Abhishek Sharma got 135 off 54 balls opening the batting with 7 fours and 13 sixes at a strike rate of 250. He was 2 balls off the fastest ever 100, which I think is off 34 balls, joint by Rohit Sharma and David Miller. So he got it off 36, I think, in the end, which is not too bad going. Um, and there's bits and pieces from people else. So Shivam Dubé, who was in some,
Like, it just kind of clicked that he just could have won the game
yeah, yeah,
without
yeah,
any of his India teammates. Well,
yeah,
we needed the bowlers, and
yeah,
it's like, yeah,
but
but like runs wise,
outscored England by like literally 40 runs.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
yeah. Which is cool. Dubé got 30 or 13 balls as well, just a little hand at the end. Um, but yeah, also lest we forget, this is quite a fresh, new looking India team because Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli have retired from T20s. There's no KL Rahul in this team either. Hardik Pandya is there, but there's no Jadeja, none of the kind of old guard, no Gill. So you wouldn't say it. I mean, maybe this is the future. Maybe this is going to be their new first choice 11, but it's nowhere near close to what their original first choice 11 was. Um, I can show you some bowling figures if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, first of all, I was annoyed about this game before it even started because the series is already gone, so it's 3-1 down.
Did someone
And
refuse an interview with someone else?
yeah, I was annoyed. But McCullum, who's now obviously white ball coach, said at the beginning of this tour that every player is going to get a chance to do something at some point because obviously the Champions Trophy is coming up. That's obviously 50 overs. This is just a T20 series because money. Um, so it's going to be like everyone's going to get a go. And you got Rayan Ahmed in the squad. I thought, okay, it's a really good opportunity for Rayan Ahmed to get a game.
Also, he's not
Um,
played at all.
so he's not played at all in the
Yeah,
series. I thought, well, you can play today, and you can save Rashid for the ODIs. Nah, didn't get a game. So I was, yeah, I was pleased about that going in. And also, I'm pretty sure. So Saki Mahmood is in the ODI squad, but he only played 1 game. I think he was carrying a little bit of an injury at the beginning of the series, but he got 3 wickets in his first over we played on the game on Friday. And it's like there's there's nothing else. Why is he not playing again? Like it's T20, he's only playing bowling 4 overs. Sure, it's match fitness. Gus Atkinson played the first game, and then has not been seen since. I think mostly because of his. If I find you the actual scorecard of that first game, um, he basically got whacked all over the place. I mean, I don't really
so
need to tell you the figures, but let's say we go. So all these losses, love to see them. Um, so the first T20, England 132 all out, and then India chasing down inside 12 overs. Um, and yeah, Gus Atkinson went for 38 runs off 2 overs of an economy rate of 19. So I don't think he'll be playing T20 cricket again. Um,
was that one maiden and one over of 38 runs?
no,
Okay,
he bowled 2 dot balls.
that's you can be proud of that.
He can be. But no, in this game, the bowling figures are also crap. Jofra played 5 games. Um, Today he bowled 4 overs, 155, getting an economy rate of 13. Um, just a quick note on Jofra. He's had a mixed series, I'll say. He got 2 for 21 in the first game, 2 for 33 in the third game. But obviously today was 155. The fourth T20 was none for 37, but then the second one was 1 for 60. So he's he's been both decent and both a bit crap. Um, he's going for runs quite a lot. Today he bowled a very good wicket ball when he got the LBW. It was very quick. It's like 155 Ks nip back for an LBW. Um, but I'd be a bit concerned that he's going for runs quite easily.
Like it's a positive that he's played all 5 games,
Yeah.
especially after his injury problems.
Hmm.
But you kind of think like he probably needed to have bowled better, just
Yeah.
from a sportsman point of view. But like surely England could have just played him in 3 games, like give him game on, game off. Like that's probably
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Especially
little bit into it.
yeah, especially when it's T20s and it doesn't matter. because it's
Yeah,
not the champion. It's the champion trophy. It's the thing. It's the ODIs. If you want to play all three ODIs, that's different. But they were obviously playing these games as a way to warm up these bowlers. So they brought Mark Wood into the squad as well. He played in three or four of the games. So he got 2 for 32 today. Bowled pretty well. Was bowling wheels. Jamie Overton today was 3 overs 1 for 48. um, Going at 16s. Liam Livingston 2 overs number 29. Rashid 1 for 41 off three. But the pick of the bowlers, I think, throughout the series, Bryden Cass 3 for 38. Um, he's just had a great winter, generally all round. 3 for 38 in this game, 139 another, 2 for 28, 3 for 29. Um, he's just suddenly becoming very much a certified player to play in each of the squads or each of the teams at the moment. He's just consistently there every game, which is good to see.
yeah, like a
Um,
consistent 7 out of 10 each game.
yeah,
He'll do you a job.
yeah, he's always there, thereabouts. Handy with the bat as well. I think he got 30 odd in the first game as well. Um, so yeah, good.
Yeah,
Glad for him. So that's a positive. Batting less so. It's been shaky to say the least. So obviously only two players got into double figures. So out of a total of 97, Phil Salt got 55. Duckett none, Butler 7, Brook 2, Livingston 9, Bethel 10, Cast 3, Overton 1, Jofra 1, Rash 6, Wood none. Um, and
wait, how
this
many extras?
extras 3.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. Only
I,
two was.
I was kind of hoping extras would be like the second or third highest
Yeah, it would
run
be nice,
scorer.
wouldn't it?
It's
Yeah.
probably only
They're
fifth,
not far
but
off.
nah,
Yeah. It's been disappointing. I mean, Duckett's played quite well in the series. He's got a couple of 50s, or at least some runs at some point. I may be misremembering. Josh started the series pretty well. Brook has looked completely out of sorts. He's just got out to spin every time. Just doesn't look like he knows where he's trying to hit it. Livingston's been quite disappointing after quite a decent end of last year. Bethel looks a bit like he's been found out, I'd say. And Salt, I know Salt got 55 today, but I just feel that Salt is just a player who only thrives when it's flat. And I know England were 97 all out, but this was flat.
yeah,
They got 240. And opening the batting, best time to bat. But throughout the rest of the series, he's really struggled. And I just think that Salt is just this kind of player who just comes out just trying to whack it
yeah,
all the time. And I just don't really see he's got any other game. And when it comes off, it looks great. Like he's got three T20 hundreds, I think. Because it's going to come off at some point because he's a good enough player. But I just don't think if it's either going to be nipping around or spinning, I just don't really see what he's bringing.
yeah. He needs to like have that cricket captain or
Yeah,
cricket 25 mentality. Just start slow and then
yeah, and then build.
build the confidence of morale meter, whatever it
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
which doesn't work on cricket captain for T20s, but
No, it's our cricket captain T20s is the most impossible thing to ever play. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. um, but that's besides the point. Um, but yeah, they've just a poor old time, and it's not even just been this game either. Um, so yeah, obviously 97 all out on this one. They were 166 all out on the other game, 145 for nine in the third, 166 for eight. Sorry, not what I'm talking about. They won the third one. They got 171, but yeah, they were 132 all out in that one game. Um, and yeah, the 97 all out kind of is the cherry on top. And it kind of feels like when they get runs, it's going to be Joss or Duckett. That's kind of how I view it. I know Brook got 150 in the series, but other than that, he's just been a bit all at sea. Um, I know he also, but it's been a while since 2019 and the Morgan days, but it does just feel like this team just feels like it's in a constant state of trying to rebuild, but never really getting anywhere.
yeah, it's full of players that like deceive to be actually elite.
Yeah,
Like Livingston can definitely hit it out of the stadium and has done,
yeah.
but the consistency hasn't been there from him.
No,
Like other teams to fear him. Like
yeah,
rarely gets a good score. Like he'll score like 16 off 4 balls or something, and that's great. But
yeah,
like actually get a decent score.
yeah. I think they kind of missed. I feel like they missed a trick in this series because at the end of last summer he was batting at 4, I think, in the T20s. and have given him a bit more responsibility when they're dropped, obviously, people like Bairstow and stuff. And I think that was quite a good move. But then he's now back to like 5, 6, and it's like I don't give him more responsibility, and then if it comes off, he comes off. But like, what's the point in him coming in just trying to slog it? That's just my view. Um, so yeah, we'll see how all that goes. But then it's a Champions Trophy next. I don't think England are going to do very well. Maybe they'll bowl all right, but it's Pakistan, so it's all going to be flat, which might suit them. But I think I can just see people like Wood, Archer, probably Saqib as well, just getting hit out all over the place because they're going to be quick and skiddy, and it's just going to go miles. Um, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Root's back though, so that'll be nice.
Right. And if it's flat, then it's Phil Salt's
Yeah,
tournament.
Phil Salt's going to get like four double hundreds. Just quickly though, I just mentioned a little cheeky Joe Root. He's currently he's back. He's not playing it anymore because he's now joining up the ODI squad. But he was playing in the SAT 20, and he was the leading run scorer in that competition, and he was getting some quite decent scores at a good strike rate, opening the batting. Do you think he could have a T20 recall?
Um, could, no, should, probably. Like, I'm surprised they haven't experimented with Root in T20s more often
Yeah,
because he's literally just the best player they have.
yeah, I know.
It's like,
Yeah,
you might as well just give it a try more often.
yeah, and
And like,
he's
it
playing in
might
South
be the
Africa
kind of
T20, which is good.
format where he'd thrive as a captain as well. Like,
Maybe, or just that sense of experience. Because I just feel like
yeah,
Butler's just a bit on his own. Like, I don't
and,
really see anyone else in that side who's going to be helpful
yeah, and like we've said before, that we don't really feel Butler is a captain,
at
and
all.
I don't think he's proven that he is
No.
either with performances or
Yeah.
like the team or individually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a struggle. I mean, we'll see how it goes. The Champions Trophy. I mean, it'd be good to have Root back, ODI wise, and I think I would bring him back. I'd probably play him for Salt, to be honest, but I don't know why I've got such a vendetta against Phil Salt. But I probably would go Root and Duckett at the top. Um, especially because I think the next T20 World Cup is in India,
Mhm.
and I feel as though Root will be good for spin. Duckett's good against spin. Um, then you can have Joss at free, and then work out the rest from there, maybe. But I think I would have him back in the side. He's had a really good tournament as well. I think the SAT 20 is very good too. It's got a lot of good bowlers from South Africa and obviously across the world. And he's been opening the batting, and he's been winning games. You know, batting through the innings. I think he's got a couple of 90s. Maybe I'm making it up. I'm pretty sure he's got a 90. Um, I can't be bothered to look. But I've seen him play some good shots and get some 50s and stuff. So I think he should be in and around the mix because, like you say, he is literally our best player and still is. So, and he could definitely do better than most of the people on this side at the moment.
And
And
he's
he
like,
spins, but he bowls.
yeah, and he's weirdly like the most inventive batsman
Yeah,
we have as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Some of the shots he's played in this SAT Johnny have been great, like ridiculous. So, yeah, bring him back. Um, Again, this is a bilateral T20 series that no one cares about, but obviously something that will always spark up and be talked about. Um, I mentioned it to you the other day. There was the concussion sub
You did,
drama,
you,
which
you probably mentioned it to me. Yeah,
yeah.
it's whether I can remember it.
So in the fourth T20, lest we forget, 48 hours ago,
Mhm.
um, it was Dubé, I think it was, who got hit. Again, I should really care and have a look. Um, just show me the fixtures. So it was definitely fourth one. Stand by, listeners and Jamie, whilst I find the game.
I'm gonna sit by if that's okay with you. I don't want to.
You don't have to stand
If
up. It's
I,
okay.
yeah, listeners
Okay,
and watchers do have to stand up.
yeah. So Shivan Dubé,
The listeners can sit down now.
you sit down. So on the game where they got 181 for 9 India in this game, he got 53 off 34 balls, played an absolutely great knock. But then on the penultimate ball of the game, they got hit by Jamie Overton in the helmet, and had a concussion test, was cleared on the field, and then faced the final ball and was run out. But then when the innings swapped over, they'd brought in a concussion substitute for him, who was da, 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 I think it's Ravi Bishnoi. No, it's a Harshit Rana. Harshit Rana. Um, who and so the rule with concussion subs is
Mhm.
that it has to be a like for like replacement. And I can get you the definition if you like.
I would like the word for word law for what
Yeah,
it is.
yep. I'll get it for you. Stand by. So the ICC match referee should ordinarily approve a concussion replacement request if the replacement is a like-for-like player whose inclusion will not excessively advantage his or her team for the remainder of the match. Um, so he got free for
Mhm,
bowling rapid, bowling, close to 90s.
mhm,
Shivan Dubé is probably a medium pace bowler who will bowl 60s to 70s.
mhm,
In comparison, batting wise, he has scored only 2 runs in his T20 career. So whilst Dubé is very much a batting, he's batting technically a batting all rounder,
mhm,
bowls a bit. Um, the other way around is very much he's a bowler who you can pretend slogs it a bit. He's a
yeah,
fast, quick bowler. So very much not a like for like. Joss came out, and there's so you've got rules in for certain T20 competitions where you can have an impact sub. So you can be like, we're going to sub out this player for another bowler for our innings, for example, which is agreed at some teams. So Joss came out at the toss today to say, here's our team, and our impact subs are Gus Atkinson and Rayan Ahmed and all this kind of stuff, just to take jest at it, because he was not happy to say the least. Um, and yeah, so he got 3 for 30 odd, removing. I'm pretty sure he got Butler. Did he get Butler? No, so he got Livingston, Jacob Bethel, and then Jamie Overton at the end. 3 for 33, and kind of a game that England probably should have been winning because they were in a really good spot at one stage. I think they were about 660 off 6 overs, and then they completely fell apart. I think they should have won the game regardless,
yeah.
but it wasn't like for like. What are your thoughts?
Um, I think the issue is more that he was cleared of the concussion.
Yeah.
Therefore, you don't need to sub.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
he had one ball left, which sure you can get through that even.
Yeah.
You shouldn't,
No.
but you could get through it with a
Yeah.
concussion. So like, if he's been cleared to do that one ball, he's been
Hmm.
cleared to do the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So if you then reassess him again during the break, and you're like, you probably should just sit it out.
Yeah.
You can't like reassess. Just have a field sub out there
Yeah.
rather than like the like for like thing, which to be honest doesn't really bother me. Like if you can get away with it, go for it. I don't,
If you can get away with it, sure. I think,
and they
yeah,
did. And like
yeah, because
yeah, like yeah, the actual sub for sub bowler on for batter, it doesn't particularly bother me because it adds a bit of drama.
I do like the drama. But I'm also like, if you want to do that, if you want to, if I feel like you change the rule that you can have a concussion sub, but you can change it for whoever you want,
Mhm,
but they have to then stay in the rest of the game, and then that could impact a test match, for example, being like, oh, we can bring an extra bowler because we want an extra bowler, but then that's going to affect our batting. Just if you want to bring another player for a concussion sub, do that.
yeah,
But the fact this that was very much not this is not the same player. And
mhm,
especially when they got players like Washington Sundar and other people who are very much more aligned to what they're going to be. Or you have a player come in, like you say, just as a 12th man comes on and they don't bowl. Because Dubé wasn't going to bowl and that he bowled a bit today, but he wasn't in that circumstance when he got a lot of bowlers already, he was not going to be a first choice bowler or a first change bowler. Um it was just it was just nonsense. It was I agree. I love the drama, but it shouldn't have happened.
no, like the rules are the rules, and the umpires should have been like,
Yeah.
well, they're obviously not the same type of player, so that's not
No.
like for
Yeah.
like. But like, honestly, that's not the part that
Yeah. It's
I'm
just I think
bothered
it's
about.
yeah, and it's also very suspicious as well that he's absolutely fine and cleared for today, no problem, and plays again today.
I mean, he
But
was
then
cleared during that match. He was
yeah,
cleared to play that one
it was
ball.
fine.
That's the issue. Like,
Yeah.
either the Indian physios or doctors wrongly assessed him on the
Yeah.
field,
Which is bad.
or they like just did the sub anyway when he
Yeah.
had been cleared.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue more than
Yeah.
like them like sort of fudging
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah. It's madness. So yeah,
Because,
that
like, say that was England, we would absolutely love if um Brooke got to play one more ball, was run out, and then we got to sub him out and like just throw
brew wood in or something.
like that's where we give Rian Ahmed his
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah. Red
we
armor
would
bats a bit.
absolutely love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I don't see a there is an actual literal problem with it being against the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of me personally having an issue with it, I don't care.
I know,
Honestly.
yeah, yeah. I enjoy the things of this kind of like the big old fallout. I think the difference between there's always a stupid chat about moral victories and stuff when it comes to England. I just hate that it always happens to us because it's just we never escape this stupid chat. But like I I just don't care. I think it's funny. Um
It's like all the bullshit about like man cards and
yeah.
the what was it, the Alex Carey Bairstow
Yeah,
dismissal.
exactly. Yeah, it
It's
always
like
comes up.
if it's in the laws of the game, which actually this sub wasn't,
No, that I mean that wasn't.
yeah, then it's fine. But like
Yeah.
even then, like you can kind of flag it as they probably did to be like, oh no,
You can fit the narrative to suit your own thing, can't you?
yeah, yeah. You can be like, oh
Yeah.
no, is it do they possibly he
Yeah,
can't
with the BCCI, remember us?
yeah.
Yeah, it was just very silly. But I do think it's the difference of this is that I think unanimously everyone agrees that that was a cock up.
Mm,
Like there's not even like Indian, pundits and players and stuff coming out saying that was wrong. That shouldn't have been the case.
yeah,
So I think that's good rather than, having one narrative of everyone else against India. I think everyone's just been like, no, this is stupid. Why did that happen?
mhm.
So I think that's all right. So I think it's kind of a bit like play on. It's a T20 series. Who cares? Like
Uh,
it's added a bit of spice to something that no one cares about, and
yeah.
obviously people are rattled by it, and I enjoy seeing that.
Mhm. Yeah. Like I was thinking about that earlier, like not giving a shit about the T20 series.
Yeah,
It's just because like there's no jeopardy involved in that.
because they're just series made for money. They're not made for fans. Be like, oh, I can't wait for the third T20 against India.
It's
It's
not
made
even
because
that. Like, what are they playing towards? They're already both qualified for the World Cup
hmm
just by virtue of being
yeah,
India and England and
yep,
one playing so many T20s that they can't ever lose
yep,
enough to like have to go through the qualifying. But
yeah,
like if there was a proper qualifying session similar to like the Euros or the World Cup for
yeah.
football,
I think that'd be good. I'd
that,
be with it.
yeah, like the smaller nations would get to play the bigger nations more often.
hmm Yeah,
You'd actually have some sort of like I said, like jeopardy to the matches. You'd have purpose to
yeah,
them, as
agreed.
opposed to, oh well, we've lost by our biggest deficit ever.
Yeah. Oh well, who cares?
Well, who
Yeah.
what do you want for dinner?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Just moving on very quickly, it's my last cricket point before we move on, but like it does kind of lead into that. So there's been talk after suspiciously,
Mhm,
after India lost the series in Australia, the new head of the ICC, Jay Shah, who was used to be, I think, head of BCCI, suspiciously, the World Test Championship looks like it's going to have a format change,
mhm,
since India didn't qualify for the final. So it is going to be, from the sounds of it, a two-tier system. So two leagues. So you're going to have probably one set of like England, Australia, India, and probably South Africa,
mhm.
and maybe Pakistan or New Zealand, and then all the rest bunged into League Two, which I don't think helps because there's no way they're making a league that India could ever get relegated and not play the big players, or England get relegated and never play India and Australia. You know?
So they're just having a Division One and Division Two,
Yeah, that's the talk. That's the
or
suggestion from what we've heard,
well, if it's just a suggestion, then it can.
which sounds like it's going to happen. I
I
would say the format needs to change. I think the format is crap, and like, how can you have England play like something like 24 tests in the cycle, and then maybe like New Zealand play 11? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Um, I think you just need to have across the board. either all teams play test series of three games, you get rid of the two, and by doing that, you sacrifice five, but everyone is on the equal playing field. They play three test series across 4 years against a certain number of teams, and then everyone's plays exactly the same number of tests. But they won't do that because Ashes
Yeah.
and then India and then Border Glasgow Trophy and that stuff brings in more money when they play more tests. But then a team like New Zealand or West Indies aren't going to get more money by playing more tests. They'll probably lose money, so then they play less. It's just flawed. It's just completely flawed.
Yeah. I just really want to see like a 2 year long knockout competition for the test
I
match.
want a Test Match World Cup. I want a Test Match World
Yeah.
Cup.
Like,
Put aside 2 months.
yeah. Like, no, don't even put aside too much. Do it over like 2 years. I'd absolutely love that. Like, there's
But
reason to like keep people coming back to it.
but could you not have like a summer like in England or Australia where you have it 2 months and that's where you can have your two divisions and then you could have two or three test matches going on simultaneously across the summer. So you could have England and India are playing at Edgbaston, Australia and Sri Lanka are playing at Lords, and then Bangladesh and New Zealand are playing at Headingley. And then you can have that over a month, 2 months, and then you have a final, but it's all together.
Mhm.
Could that not be fun?
I think that the issue with that is, and from a viewer's perspective, like
Yeah,
you're going to split a lot of the audience.
yeah,
Like, of what just personally, like what game do I watch? What
yeah,
like on what day? Which is the
yeah,
main
yeah,
like a game that is currently on day two will not be as watched as a game on day five.
yeah, yeah.
And I think then you're going into it being like over diluted with cricket and just too much
Potentially. Yeah,
going
potentially.
on all the time.
Yeah,
And like people will just gravitate towards the bigger teams when that happens.
yeah, potentially.
Like I think when the T20 and ODI World Cups have been happening, there's been this game and then this game
Yeah,
is later on.
yeah.
There's like hardly ever any crossover. And if
No, you're
there is,
right.
they're happening at the same time, so they can finish at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think, yeah, I just do it over a long period of time because it's going to be 5 days. I see, like you probably want to book 6 days so they have a reserve day
Yeah, sure need, yeah.
just in case.
Yeah.
And like working out the logistics of how long a tournament where you need 6 days per game,
Yeah, it's
it
tricky,
would
isn't it?
be insane to do like over just one summer.
Yeah.
So I think
Unless you have
like
yeah,
yeah, like
it's all, yeah,
logistically, it makes sense to sort of just
spread
take it
it,
out. Yeah. And then
but
you
then
could be
spreading
like,
it evenly.
this is the World Cup test match game against New
Yeah.
Zealand, West Indies. And like people are hyped for it
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
market it as a World Cup game because it is one. Like no other test match is going to be happening during that time.
No, you're right. Potentially. Potentially. Yeah. I mean, I think they just need to vamp up something. I just don't think two divisions is a good idea at all. But then obviously you get all the people like annoyed that South Africa in the final of the World Test Championship, which they're very much deserving to be there. But they've played India once out of this, but then they've potentially not played the big three as much. But then they get through because of their higher win percentage. But they get through on the stupid rules of the World Test Championships. They deserve it. So oh, I hate it. But
It's like it's not just their fault that they've not played
yeah,
the
exactly. Yeah,
the
they play who
third
they're
game.
given.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, buzzing. But I think that's all my cricket news to be honest.
cool.
Um, I'm hoping there'll be more drama for next week when the ODI start. And then it'll be the Champions Trophy not long after that. Um, but yeah, I doubt you've got any other cricket to add.
I don't have any cricket to add.
Have you got a not cricket to add?
Um, do we? I've been trying to make notes and think of like what we could talk about.
Sure.
And it's I don't know. Let's see. Uh, listeners can stand up again and just wait for whatever they want to happen. Um, I mean, this is
It's
a
fine.
dumb one.
Okay,
It,
we like done one.
yeah, like we've had the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? That's been going on for
Fortunately.
yeah. We are in the minority.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we've had the DCCU also,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
try to be a thing and continue to try.
Yeah.
We've even had the NCCU, the Netflix Christmas Cinematic Universe.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, it should. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone isn't happy for that.
Yeah.
But my pitch to you and just you,
Okay.
because I would
I'm the only one
this
here.
this is yeah, exactly. And this is just the kind of rambling, like just general rambling that I'm gonna have. And this is what I
Hmm.
think about. This is where my brain goes.
That's fine.
The next cinematic universe should be like an old school sort of theatrical style
Yeah.
Greek mythology universe.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah. Like you've got like the Argonauts where a lot of
Hmm.
the Greek heroes come together. So that's what you could like build towards. That's
Hmm.
your Avengers, that's your Justice League. Like they've got Jason, obviously, that Heracles shows up, Atalanta is in
Yeah.
a few tellings of that story too. And like Heracles has his own shit going on.
Yeah.
That's your Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Theseus, like there's a bit of a kind of chronological like issue with where he fits into
Sure.
the,
I mean, you could rewrite it, couldn't you, slightly
yeah,
for fiction? Yeah.
exactly.
It's yeah. I
So
think
like,
why not? Yeah.
yeah, like get Bellerophon in there, like actually, and instead of like doing it like films like Troy or like Clash of the Titans,
Yeah.
I want a proper like artsy sort of like Laurence Olivier,
That'd be fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
like give it a proper sort of dramatic, over the top vibe.
I'd be all for that. Why
Yeah,
not? It's just something different. I just don't want any more superheroes, please. Like, yeah,
yeah,
it's like something different that it's not in modern day.
yeah.
Something just fresh and new.
Like
Would you
that,
want to then do a
like
spin-off? Sorry, go on.
like the issue if people were to make that
Sure.
cinematic universe with the Greek mythology is I think they bleed into the superheroizing of it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Whereas like that's not the interesting part.
Yeah.
The interesting part is the character interactions and like the tragedy of the tale. Like going back to Heracles, like he killed his wife and child, and that's why he has to go off and do the labors. Like
Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah,
not fun because he's a big, strong dude that can like kill dragons and shit. Like
which is fun to watch.
yeah, which is cool, but it's
Yeah.
not what I
But we've
want.
also got some, yeah. Um, would you, would it just be that kind of mythology? Would you want like a Norse mythology cinematic universe as well? Would you want to do all different kind of god mythology universes?
I think I like a Norse one.
Yeah.
I think that's like too in the zeitgeist with Marvel for one and the God of War games.
Yeah.
Like the God of War original games are obviously Greek mythology, but I feel like the recent PlayStation 5
Hmm.
games are way more uh like in the public sphere.
Yeah.
So I don't think right I'd love to have
Yeah.
a Norse mythology telling of some
Cinematic
kind.
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd work better as like a TV miniseries anthology.
Yeah. I'd be all, I'd love that some kind of mythology expanded media, honestly. Just because it's different, isn't it? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
we should be out of the superhero phase now.
Mhm.
Like it's gone on so long. Like when was Dark Knight out? 2008? Dark
Yeah.
Knight?
Mhm.
And obviously Batman Begins was before that, 2005. And if
Yeah.
20 years of just sometimes you might get a good one. Probably not.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. No,
but then I just it's just
I,
not ending because then obviously DC is now gonna try and pick up again. And I just feel like we're now back in that continuous circle.
yeah. Like I really liked the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
It was its own thing. It was separate from like it started before the MCU.
Yeah.
Um, but now that's sort of getting absorbed into it as well.
MC, yeah, bought.
It's not as if like the X-Men franchise had all bangers. Like there wasn't
No,
shit
of course not.
there.
Yeah, 100%.
like I liked it being separate, and like
Separate.
Logan is not even a superhero film. Like it's
I love Logan is probably one of my top. If I had to pick a top three, it'd be in my top three of superhero stuff.
I think it's the top one because
Yeah,
it doesn't it uses the superpowers to tell a human story.
yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I think it's just unique and it's good and it's not like you say it's not end of the worldness.
yeah,
It's no mass CGI-ness. It's just a good say heartfelt. I mean, there's a lot of heartfelt things stuff here, but it's obviously R-rated or whatever. But it's just good. I feel like I went into that not knowing a hell of a lot about Wolverine or X-Men and stuff. But I just went along being like, this looks a good film. I
yeah,
just want to I just want to see this film. It looks brilliant. And it was.
yeah. And I think you can get the same kind of vibe out of
Yeah.
Greek myths and like Norse myths.
Yeah.
You can try with Egyptian myths if you
Yeah.
can like try and if you're able to actually find any material on that.
Yeah.
But the Egyptians have done their fucking best thousands of years ago to screw us over and not give us those really cool stories. But yeah.
Blowing Egyptians. No, cool. I'm all for that. So if you also agree, let us know in the comments. What cinematic universe do you want to see? Um,
And if you say Merlin, I'll do nothing because I don't read the comments.
I want a Merlin reboot, please. But they've done so much King Arthur stuff, haven't they? Like so
Yeah.
many retellings of King Arthur and different knights and stories, and it's just a bit saturated, isn't it?
Hmm.
Merlin was good. I really enjoyed Merlin, but I think it's just so burnt.
I don't know if I retrospectively call Merlin good, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be good. I think like it
I think
keeps
if
coming
we
up.
rewatch it, like
Yeah,
that feels like a
it
BBC
feels like
thousands. But
yeah,
that,
but I kind of want to. It keeps popping up every now and then on Netflix. I'm like, but I also know the CGI will be terrible.
mhm.
And I know it'll be like the same, and there'll be like a goofy scene of Merlin doing a silly thing.
Like you just know the dragon in your head looks way better than it actually
Oh,
did.
I know. But then they released him, don't they? And he helps in the battle at the end, I think. It's got to be good stuff in there. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember some of it so fondly. But I don't. It's the game. We're back to Merlin. I'm sorry I hijacked you, but I don't know. Could I rewatch it? Because I couldn't. I don't really could watch Game of Thrones really. Could I rewatch Merlin? Find out next episode if I've started rewatching Merlin. Or maybe. I just remember actually being a bit annoyed when Merlin first started because it took over the slot from the Robin Hood series.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and I love the Robin Hood series, which also retroactively is probably bad. Season three of Robin Hood series. This is another tangent. Series three of Robin Hood is bad,
Like
but
that
I
the decision to kill off Marion, so weird.
so weird. But then you should finish the show. You should finish it then, and
Yeah,
then they brought it back for a random other season. It's like if that should be you've really built the legend of Robin Hood. Then like he's lost Marion, but now he's just going to be complete outlaw, going to go home, carry on the fight, but just without Marion.
and then
But then
they end it with that weird. Oh, we're all Robin Hood.
yeah,
Like,
by blowing up Nottingham Castle.
yeah, like
Weird. Because I felt like the first season was kind of grounded-ish. It was kind of a bit more, it was a bit, silly every now and then, but there was a lot more like serious nature to it. Like I remember at the end, one of my favorite scenes, I still think in TV, it's probably just a lot of nostalgia-ness, is the end of that season where they think Marion is dead, and you've had all this series of Robin not killing, and then the sheriff shows up to where Marion is, and then he's just in a blind rage and just like kills nearly everyone apart from the sheriff. And I'm like, this is great.
yeah,
Like he's just like completely flipped from this character. It's like if Batman suddenly decided to kill. And I still like every now and then I'll see that I'll watch that scene because it's like, oh, this is just this
mhm,
is just good. This is brilliant. This is just like
mhm.
this is cinema. I think it's just I think that first season's good. Second season has some good bits, and then third season's bad. But then I was, even though the third season was bad, I was still annoyed that Merlin came on and overtook Robin Hood. But then
And
I like
then
Merlin,
you like
and then
Merlin.
Merlin burnt me. Oh God, I think
And
I
then,
know what our
and then,
next
and
episode.
then there was that Atlantis series which had a
One
Jason.
season, wasn't it?
I don't
I
know.
didn't
It
watch
it
it.
could have been, but like there was a guy from the Modern World, I think was Jason,
Yeah.
and went back to chill out with Mark Addy, who played Robert
Yeah.
Baratheon,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was Heracles. Was like,
Oh
um,
my God.
one of the
Please.
Greek philosophers was like in love with Medusa or something.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It's such a
Great.
weird.
I tell you what,
Yeah.
next episode, I'm gonna have rewatched either an episode of BBC Robin Hood or BBC Merlin, and I'll review whether it stands up.
I
Do you
will
want to do
not.
the same?
I
Done.
know. I want to enjoy my time off.
Well, we've got only a few minutes left. Do you want to tell people where to find us and if
Sure. No.
they want to?
Yeah.
Go
If
on
you
then.
want to.
Okay, if you want
Yeah. Okay. Um. Just not CrickPod, Instagram, TikTok, uh, YouTube. There's something else. Blue Sky.
Blue
We're on
Sky.
Blue
Yeah,
Sky. We like Blue Sky.
do.
Um. I swear there's one I'm forgetting. Not the one that I'm obviously not including
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
Which we are
Um.
fa we are still using, but we are phasing out of
Where there's one more.
TikTok,
TikTok,
Instagram,
Instagram,
Blue
YouTube,
Sky.
Blue Sky,
I think
podcast
that's it
places.
in podcast places. Yeah, all
Yeah.
those places. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right.
Okay, well, enjoy. I think next time we might be having a special guest. Find out then.
If it's not Stuart Broad, so we can be the tail enders
It's Sophie
rivalry.
Eccleston.
Not after this pod goes out.
No, not anymore. No. Burn those bridges. Cool. Well, see you next time on Merlin recap.
Cool. Broad or we quit.
I'll ask.